Shalini and Archana. I'm very pleased to welcome two of the ladies who look after marketing and communication in one of the best and busiest airports in the world. Yes, it's the Bangalore International Airport, an essential service which has been active throughout this COVID period. And we're very happy to have Shalini Rao, the Chief Marketing Officer of Bangalore International Airport. Welcome, Shalini.
Thanks, Parul. Thank you.
And Archita Muthapa, who leads marketing communications and corporate communication for the Bangalore International Airport. Welcome, Archana.
Thank you, Parul. Good to be here.
So, we're going to have a very interesting conversation today with both Shalini and Archana on how they've really managed the communication throughout COVID and also going forward, because, of course, airports and flying was marked as an essential service. And, of course, there were multiple challenges. So let's dive straight in. Starting with Shalini, what was the main challenge that you felt when the COVID lockdown and the COVID pandemic first really exploded in March?
I think a couple of things. One of them was the fact that I think uncertainty, it's a word that's probably been used by everybody, but the sheer enormity and the uncertainty, and that kept unfolding. And I think that was a complete surprise, because not actually physically being in office, not being able to see passengers, not being able to interact, having to see an airport which, suddenly almost came to a grinding halt. That was a big challenge. I think the second challenge is we're used to dealing with people face to face. We're used to having people hanging out here. There's a lot of face to face communication that goes off, and that suddenly went off. So those two were the biggest. And I think the last but not the least was all the internal uncertainty in terms of the teams, in terms of all the employees, what's going to happen, what does this actually mean. I think 3-4 of those came together at one shot.
I'd like to now go over to Archana. Archana, from a communication standpoint, what was your major feeling about how to really go ahead and communicate at the start of the pandemic?
Right. Initially, I think we were all at sea. There was very little understanding of what it would be like. So initially, we thought it was a short-term thing. However, as we got into it a little more, we felt like this is probably here to stay. So right from the start, I think that was one good thing about having multiple types of people on the team. We kind of came together and said, okay, what should our communication stance be? And very early in our communication, we decided that Bangalore Airport should be the place where people would come to get real, authentic, updated information. So our communication was all based around that. At that point, there was no question of reassurance or any of that, because we ourselves didn't know. But really, it was to say, let us put people who are wondering what next for their children, for their families, relatives, how do we put them at ease? So that's really where we came from in terms of communication and talking to people.
So what was the one thing that helped to put people at ease?
I believe it's the fact that they could come to our social media channels or our website and find information that was updated and that was available. Also, I think our engagement center team did a phenomenal job, because they were getting inundated with calls. They were actually on the ball and able to respond to queries in real time. And if not possible, they were able to refer people to the appropriate government department, because words like quarantine and words like, tests and COVID were all still very new for us. Right now, they roll off the tongue quite easily. But at that point in time, it was all very, very new for us.
Thanks, Archana, for giving us a window into the early days of COVID. And the next set of questions are for Shalini, and then I'll come back to you, Archana. Shalini, what are the top, 2, 3, 4, 5, or even the top 2 customer experiences that you are trying to build for your customers in a post-COVID world?
So I still don't think we've hit post-COVID world. I think we're still in COVID world. We're still swimming through, and we're all hoping that there will be a post-COVID world at some point in time. So as a team, as a bunch of I think leaders, and like Archana said also, let's say the comms and marketing team, everybody sat together, and there were, I think, two very key things that came up as a result of one, a lot of market research that we went out and did. We decided to keep talking to people over a span of almost 2.5 months to see how they were progressing in their minds and what would make them feel comfortable. And I think the one biggest thing that we chose to pick up was, I wouldn't really call it reassurance, but to let people know that airports are the safest way, safest mode of transport, therefore. So aircrafts are the safest mode of transport, and airports are the safest that you can actually travel through as compared to, let's say, a train station or a bus station. So two things that we picked up from there was, one, take the reassurance track and just remind people over and over again through all points of interaction. So seamlessly through whether they came by a taxi, whether they ate at the airport, whether they were going to board through, whether they were going to spend some time, just showing them all that we were doing beforehand. So the level of sanitization, the frequency of sanitization, all the additional aspects that we put into place. And overarching, I think there is where we pulled out this whole theme of what we run as a hashtag today, which is hashtag we are for you. We are here for you. And so that's where the reassurance came. And the biggest thing on the ground, which people were asking for, and I think we moved, I always say it gave us whiplash that we moved so quickly, an entire end-to-end contactless boarding process. So I think those two were probably, while reassurance information and also on ground, the reality of your experience was to keep it as contactless as possible. So completely end to end, from the time you got off to the time you even bought something, while boarding, as contactless as completely possible. So that's something we very, very actively worked on. I think the airport operations team did a fabulous job of pulling that off. And those were the two pieces, and therefore that whole broader umbrella reassurance of we are here for you.
I think airport marketing is very unique in the sense that that it has a certain place of journeys, a certain romance, a certain sense of moving on, which happens at an airport, which still people have not lost that feeling of it being a special occasion to travel in a plane. Given that, how has COVID changed? How, in your opinion, have you received any feedback about how customers have responded to traveling as an experience in a COVID world?
So I think we have, if I was referring to the market research that we did, we were seeing the kind of fears that people had and how their fears were unfolding. Then because of the steps we took, we got a clear realization that the fear of traveling through the airport has gone down, but you're still dealing with restrictions, right? There's statewide restrictions, there's work from home restriction, there's companies that are not allowing you to travel. So via social media, some of the stuff, therefore, that we ran, and I think judging by the overwhelming response that we got from people, the sheer, I mean, a lot of people call it revenge travel. They're just waiting to get back, some of them, and actually just experience that whole freedom of travel. And so we have heard back through, let's say, a lot of user engagement pieces that we've done on how people are missing traveling. We asked them to share their photographs with us. We did a whole bunch there, because we wanted to keep that, like you said, the romance is suddenly gone, right? I could do a lot on the ground, but suddenly I don't know where you've gone. So how do I keep that romance with you going so that you've not forgotten the fact that you need to come back and travel? So while as airport marketers, we don't need to, because, everybody has to travel through the airport, but how do you get people back on? So yes, we did get a lot of response, but there is still part of overwhelming fear. I don't think that fear has gone away. There is a lot of fear now. There's a little bit of inertia. So I think Archana made this point initially. we've just been, I think, over communicating. I'll call it over communicate. And that's probably the first rule of thumb in a crisis, which is just communicate, 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 reassure, give them, a better feeling. So they are missing it, but I think there's lots of fear. There's still lots of fear.
And do you think that that is something which only time can address, this kind of fear?
No. So I'm going to say something which is probably a little controversial here. Yes, time will address it over a period of time. The way the cases spike in the country, the restrictions that get lifted because it's inconvenient right now to travel, right, to a lot of places because you've got to get quarantined. So you can't really go on a holiday and come back. Archana and I both are holiday junkies, so we're waiting to get off somewhere. But I think you can take care of the fear, and that is what I think Archana referred to as well. That's where we've been trying to push out the maximum to show and tell, to reassure, to tell you it's okay, it's safe. These are all the efforts that are being taken. But you need to take your share of precautions as well. And, let's together get out. So, no, I think you can push that fear only by showing and telling and showing the difference in terms of what you're doing, which is actually what we've been trying to do.
So who would show and tell this? I mean, it's probably a very basic question. Is it influencers? Is it ambassadors? I mean, I'm just saying, what would get a person to say, okay, I believe X person or Y person? As a marketer, who do you feel would convey this message best?
The average person, the average Joe, the average you and me, not influencers, not big names, because there is this association we have over the years that, I'm sure there must be 100 things that will get taken care of there. And you do too much of that, it's not real. So in fact, all we've been trying to do is just show you reality. So when I say show and tell, I mean, we've been running films. We've just been showing people the way it is. So you're experiencing passengers. We've also got a lot of positive feedback on that. So, using that right back to show people what others are saying so that it's literally like saying, hey, it's okay. Slowly, slowly, it's okay.
Thanks for explaining that so candidly, Shalini. And probably, very contrary to the perception about marketing that it's all glammed up communication. This is actually as real as it gets in communication, probably. Just going to go over to Archana for the next one or two questions. Archana, from a communication standpoint, to take it forward from what Shalini has pointed out, what were the top 2 or 3 communication methods? I'm trying to understand the tools that you use for communicating this, this reassurance bit successfully. What were the main tools that you felt had the maximum impact?
So we did a few things, Parul. When we set out the plan for rolling out communication, the one thing that we said was all the different tools that we use, whatever tool we use, must reflect either similar or same messages so that there's one sense of what is going on right across the board. So whether it was social media, whether it was standees at the airport, whether it was traditional media, whether it was videos, like Shalini called out, the "we are here for you" kind of took precedence over everything. So any communication that we put out, we viewed through that lens. How does it impact the fact that the airport is looking out for you? Bangalore Airport is looking out for you when you travel. When you decide to travel, here are some of the things you can look at. So every one of our communication platforms actually reflected that message. So whether it was the FAQs that we were doing. So initially we focused largely on government orders, whether it was state or central government. What they put out there, we kind of worked it into simple language and we put it out there. As we went along, we also realized that people wanted an out. They wanted alternate things to do, other things to do, rather than just be completely focused on this whole pandemic, because at some level it was weighing them down. So we started 2 types of communications at that point. One was the factual stuff that had to go out, and the other was the business as usual stuff. Because as an essential service, our airport continued to function. For example, the great stuff that cargo did. Right through the pandemic, we continued to transport pharmaceutical requirements, medical requirements, equipment, all of that continued to go. So literally, air cargo became the lifeline for many things that were required across the world, right? So we started to focus on some of the positive things because people were also at some level hungry for that positive news. So that really is how we kind of worked it out. More than what tools we identified, I think what we thought was important to focus on were the pillars with which we communicated.
So that's very interesting. I have a follow-up question for you, and then perhaps Shalini would also like to share her view on this. Did it, in a way, surprise you that some basics of communication, like the good old-fashioned website, where you can, put all your circulars and latest information, was that used more? The hoarding, the outdoor displays. Given the nature of airports, did it sort of surprise you that you went back to certain basics? And what did you use in digital beyond, of course, the handles? For example, were QR codes used to scan the latest flight information and stuff like that? I'm curious about that.
So again, as an airport, because of how we're set up, at the end of the day, the airport is infrastructure, right? And because of that, the hoardings and billboards, what we call out of home, never went away. They were an integral part of our ecosystem, right? So we continued to use those. We used a lot of those. The fact that we used QR code, it wasn't a new thing that we started using QR codes. We've always traditionally used QR codes in our communication because, for example, we have airport taxis. So you put a dangler in a taxi and a person can actually scan the departure protocols, the arrival protocols. So, there were various things that we did like that, which people didn't really have to pick up a pamphlet or a piece of paper because suddenly people have become averse to touching anything that they don't accurately know where it came from. So by giving them the opportunity to download the QR code from a standee or from a dangler that was in a taxi or a bus, it just gave them that feeling that, wow, this is great. At least we have it at our fingertips. We have it on our phone all the time. The other great thing about, those kind of digital material is the fact that you can update it on the back end and it'll automatically get picked up, in various locations. Again, playing into the Bangalore Airport's philosophy of being ecologically friendly. You're not printing any longer. So, the minute it's digital, then, it impacts the ecology much less. In that sense.
That's really very fascinating. Thank you for sharing that, Archana. Shalini, would you like to share your perspective on what were the traditional marketing tools which still helped, and what is a new thing you'd like to try? Perhaps, of course, Archana has, of course, already mentioned QR code. What are your views on maybe the use of AI for example, experiencing a PPE kit? I mean, I'm just probably talking through my hat at the moment, but just as an example of what is the technology ahead.
So interestingly, just to add to, a couple of things to what Archana said, I think two additional things, because suddenly we said no paper. So absolutely no paper related assets that we would use. And because traffic went down, while we've always traditionally had billboards, you didn't have that kind of traffic. So communicating through that was probably not going to be as effective. So we had to rejig thinking a little bit. So I'm a little bit of an old school marketer, given, having been 30 years in it. So interestingly, I think we went back to the first premise of marketing that we were all taught, which is check your consumer insight. Go back and evaluate that path again and see if you've got to identify the places that you want to talk to your consumer. What are those in today's context? And so therefore, they were digital. So we went far more digital than probably we would have otherwise. We anyway communicate through our social media handles. So up the presence of the QR codes. QR codes were definitely always there, but then take them through all the taxis. So in fact, we've been experimenting with a virtual help desk within the terminal. And in fact, it goes live. Anyway, you're going live. Okay, it goes live tomorrow. So the virtual help desk actually goes live tomorrow. So we've just placed a screen there. And instead of actually talking to somebody, which might make you a little nervous because you're also exposing yourself and you're wondering what's happening. So it's a virtual help desk. So those are some changes that we've made. The one surprise, which I don't think mentally, I don't think even I was ready for that one, but I'm realizing how much it's worked for us, is plain and simple WhatsApp. While everybody, says a lot about WhatsApp, and so do I, about the excessive information, etc. But for internal communication, it has proven to be excessively useful. We've got a broadcast channel going for internal communications. So to push out information, to push out any communication that we wanted to send out from, the top leadership, it was a very, very effective mode of engaging people, of actually sending things out as well. So definitely. And I think I love the fact that as a marketer, it reminded us of what was the most important, which is go back, get your insight from the consumer, understand where they are, then start to think. And I just want to add one thing, coming back from what you said earlier. I think this is the one time when none of the sexiness of marketing is anywhere close to being relevant. It's got to be real, it's got to be from the heart. So it's really gone back to the old practices of show and tell, demonstrate it the way it is, keep it simple, keep it basic, tell me the truth, be transparent, show me what it is. Don't coat it up in, any glamorous stuff. Literally just give it to me the way it is. So yeah.
Give me the message straight is what I take away from our conversation, and go to where the customer is. It may have been billboard later, but it's WhatsApp now. So take charge of that change. A final question for both of you before we end this very interesting interview. Shalini, Bangalore is always supposed to have been a very woman-friendly airport. So any specific insights that you have received from women specifically about traveling, or anything that specifically you've done to take care of, of women travelers?
We've always been sensitive to all of those needs and realities. I think our washrooms have been rated as one of the best for the longest. So I wouldn't say the pandemic has called for anything different from that perspective. It's not, I don't think it's gender specific at all. Right now, I think the issues are pretty much the same for both. But yes, I think from an employee perspective, from an internal, work from home perspective, we all understand there are lots of pressures, sometimes a little higher. But I'd say we're as gender friendly as we used to be, and we continue to be that way. Archana can add to that one, but I don't think we've needed anything different. We've not been asked for it also. Yeah.
Archana?
I'd like to add something to that, Parul. I think as an airport, Bangalore airport has always been passenger centric, right? So we focus on the requirements of the passenger, notwithstanding gender and other requirements, right? As a result of which, one of the things that came up quite recently, and people had not noticed it, is that we have a baby changing station in the men's washroom.
Oh,
right?
That's interesting.
Yeah, so men do travel with infants. There's no reason why they should, change the infant on the floor or in public. So our airport actually has a baby changing station in the men's washroom. So we're gearing up for passenger requirements. For example, again, Bangalore airport was one of the first airports in the country to do unisex screening queues. Yeah, so you have both men and women going through. So if you're in a family of 4 and you've got a wife and a daughter, and you can all kind of go through together. So really focused on what the passenger needs, rather than saying, someone with disability, someone with gender, someone. So we're splitting it up based on real-time requirements.
In fact, that's really important, because I've traveled with parents in Goa and other airports, and it was worrying to have to separate, say, from my father. And,
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
So whether he needs help to walk and all that. So that's actually very, 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 very good insight. So my final question for both you and Shalini, what's your own personal learning from being in this whole COVID scenario for the last 4 to 5 months? What's your one personal learning? It could be work, it could be personal.
Archana can go first with this one.
Okay, thank you, Shalini. So I think for me, the work from home thing has worked very well. In the initial days, it's something that worked for me. I've done it in the past in previous assignments, and that worked. However, I have to say that as we've gone along, I find that coming into the office works very well for me now, because you're constantly seeking energy, and because the terminal is what it is, you can literally feed off her energy. If you walk into the terminal, you feel that enthusiasm, you feel that joy to be alive kind of situation, even though there are so few passengers right now. So it's helped for me to be able to come into the office every so often. On the personal front, what has really helped is, one is that very early in this whole work from home situation, I put in a schedule for myself. And I also found that it gave me then the time to do, some things that gave me joy personally. So able then to spend time by myself, with myself, without feeling a drop in energy, or without feeling, just oppressed in that sense. Because for a lot of us, staying at home turned into being oppressive after a point. So I think to stay upbeat, one has to have things beyond work. And that is something that I try to figure quite early in this whole situation. That has really stood me in good stead, Parul, I have to say.
What's the thing beyond work that you enjoy doing?
So I'm doing some studying currently. I'm writing my transactional analysis diploma. So it's given me a lot of time to write that diploma. Yes, I'm doing TA. I also got my workout schedule in place, which I think I've suffered to kind of put together for many years. Now it's kind of now fallen into place, and I manage that quite well. So overall, the health perspective, the little bit of mental stimulation beyond work has also happened. So it's been a good thing for me, I have to say.
Yes, considering you're championing mental health issues, it's great to see how you're taking that forward. One of the best therapy approaches, TA. It's really interesting to see you actually learn more about that. Thanks for sharing that, Archana. Shalini, and giving the final word to you. What was your own personal learning from these last 4 months?
I think professionally, one of the biggest learnings that I think all of us have taken away, and personally, I think me even more so, is the need for the softer skills, the need for empathy. If there's one word that I would pick up right now, I think it's the need for empathy, the need to talk to people. Because as leaders, the one thing I think I've seen all of us do, to some it came very naturally, and I love doing it. So, but the sheer need to talk, because somebody's sitting on the other side of a screen, somebody's, like Archana said, not coming to office. There are confusions in the mind. There are questions that I probably don't want to ask in public. So even as an organization, we actually talked about some of these things, and I think I'm really happy about the fact, of helping do, let's say we have a 24/7 employee helpline. We've tied up with a counselor so that people can go and chat with them if necessary, but also my own one-on-one conversations with people. I think that's a big learning. Don't lose sight of that ever. Something that I always believed in personally, but now I think I've really gone hammer and tongs with it, which is just talk to people, because sometimes that's all people need. And you asked the gender question earlier, but a lot of people are struggling, men, women, both, managing home, cooking, kids are home, embarrassment at sounds that are coming in because you're having Microsoft Team conversations, but a child is crying behind or something else is going on. These are realities, and to just help people go through that and stay positive through all of it. I mean, for me, that's been the one big thing that I think professionally. Personally, and how I've kept that first part going is really been by replenishing myself. Because if I'm going to play that role with a lot of other people that I'm talking to, what am I doing for myself? Because it's been equally challenging for each one of us, right? Not coming in, not having boundaries, working at home. So a lot of, for me, it's gone the spiritual way, a little bit the yoga and a little bit more of the spiritual way to keep myself replenished, draw those boundaries, ensure I have time for myself. I think that's been mine.
Thank you, Shalini and Archana, for being very candid and sharing your views on what has it been like to handle communication through a crisis for an essential service like flying in airports. Thank you so much. Joining us today was Shalini and Archana, the backbone of the marketing and communication effort at the Bangalore International Airport. Thank you for joining us for PR Moment India's Leadership Series. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Parul. It was wonderful.